Let's go. How's everyone doing today? Feeling way better, guys. Thanks for asking. I haven't slept more than 2 hours in like 5 months. I eventually caught up to me. Overworked. That's all. Nothing other than that. My blood pressure was insanely high. It was at 197 over 80. They thought it was like that for months because when you're not sleeping, your blood pressure doesn't go down. And I'm not a young man anymore, so I can't be doing that stuff. But yeah, I'm feeling a lot better. I got blood pressure medicine and sleep medicine, so I'm doing way better. Put myself on a schedule now. How is everyone doing today? We're feeling good, guys. I know we're feeling really good right now, actually. AMC, everything's looking fucking sweet. Sweet. Everything's looking good for us. The box office, everything's starting to look way better. So, I know a lot of people are looking at this right now and they're like, oh man, I thought we were supposed to have a great Q2, or Q4, sorry. 420 million, 428 million right now is not bad at all. We'll end the month at like 450, 445 ish. But this month is, or this entire quarter is so backslated. It's not even funny. The middle of the month in November is when it's just going to explode. So fantastic sale. Just hours after Mona 2 opens up for the pre-sales, it's exploding. This movie, they're going to be expecting to do 125, 100. You also have Wicked that weekend. Wicked is tracking right now to do 100 to 125. So you already have potentially 250 million from two movies. Now you're going to add Gladiator 2, sorry, and that's at 60 to 80. So you're looking at 310 to 330 just off three movies. So wait until November to start watching numbers in the box office as everything start to skyrocket. I still expect this quarter to end about 2.61, which will be profitable for AMC. Q3 will be profitable. Q4 we will be profitable. Q5 they're talking about 2025 should be a profitable quarter or a year for us, so that's great. And on top of that, they just added a Predator movie. I don't know if you guys, they're going to keep, we'll get into 2025 here in a second, but I don't know if you guys saw that last Predator movie. It was called Prey. God, I can't remember what it's on right now. It's on a streaming service. I just can't remember which one. But Google Prey. I highly recommend watching that movie. It's super badass. It's the best Predator movie ever made. So that director is actually coming back, and he's going to, where is it? Hold on, man. I just had it up. All right, well, the next Predator movie is coming out in 2025. It's called like Borderlands or something. But he's doing, the same director that did Prey is doing this release. So I think it's going to be just as good as Aliens. It should do just as well as Aliens. This movie was super good here. I'm trying to find it. I'm not gonna worry about it. Of course, oh, here you go. Sorry, I know it isn't too far away here. So I posted this. So Predator Badlands. This is going to come out in November 2025. This movie should be sweet. Like I said, this director was super good on the last Prey movie. Um, we got to talk about 2026, you guys. We got to talk about 2026 because this is going to be ridiculous. 2026 was already projected to hit about 12 billion. And then they announced a couple days ago Spider-Man, the next Spider-Man with Tom Holland is coming out in 2026. All these Spider-Man movies kill it. They kill it. Look at how much these things do domestically. This is a we were already looking at 12 billion. This is going to put you way over it. And then what they announced is Jumanji 3 is now going to be released in 2026. Now there are people like, oh man, Jumanji sucks. Who cares? The last one made 310 million domestic. Even if it doesn't do as well, drops down, that's another 220, 225. Maybe it does better, but even if it does worse, you're lowballing it, and it does 225, and you're adding that into a year that was already going to be the biggest box office in United States history. And then you're going to add Spider-Man, and you're going to add Jumanji. Hulu's got Prey, just so you guys know. It highly recommended. If you got Hulu, I'm not saying go get Hulu real quick. Like it's not. that important. But if you have Hulu already, highly recommend watching that one. But if you're adding another, like I said, this could be a potentially 600, 700, 800 million more towards that calendar. So all of a sudden you could be looking at 12.6, 12.7. AMC in 2026 is going to be profiting hundreds of millions of dollars. AMC right now, the main thing AMC needs to do is have a super good 2025. We have been going over fundamentals since I can remember. I've been going over it for years before we even created Ape. I was telling everybody we needed to do the votes, give them it, fix the company, fix the balance sheet, fix the fundamentals because we were burning 200 million plus a quarter. And no matter what, they're not going to cover until that goes away. Well, we're at that point now where if you guys took away that strike, AMC would have had about 4 to 5 profitable, straight profitable quarters. So you got to start looking at it that way. We're turning the balance sheet around, and every time they drop interest rates, if they do it again, everything right now is looking like the same setup. We're gonna get into it. There's a lot of shit to go over, you guys. I have a lot of stuff to go over today. Rates are if they do what I think they're gonna do, and I think they're gonna drop it 50 to 75 next. It's 2008 all over again, but worse. And now he said every time it drops at 25 points, it saves AMC 10 million a year. Well, if he drops at 75, that means AMC's already saving 40 million a year in interest in 2025. Let's fucking go. That's a lot of money. 40 million in interest is a lot of fucking money. That is a lot of money to be putting into other expenses. So, like I said, everything for AMC is getting nothing but better and better. Devon, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Little man could always use some diapers, so I do appreciate that, my friend. He goes through them quick. Man, he was a handful today. He's not feeling very good. I tried everything to get him down. It was crazy. Thank God my wife got back so she could help me out with that. But she got him down, of course. Got give him a little medicine. But like I said, guys, for AMC here, we really just need to work on just having a 2020 great 2025 and getting to 2026 because listen to this. Let's just go over this real quick because this is important and I want you to listen to this. This is the movies that are coming out so far in 2026. And I told you guys they were going to, after that strike, they lost so much money. You guys, they lost so much money. All of these production studios, all of these streaming services, they lost a ton of fucking money. The only way they can start to recover is make these movies. The only way you can mass generate that type of revenue is have these massive movies come out and produce them for 100 million and they go for 1 billion. That's the only way these guys can make this up. Now listen to what's coming out in 2026. And here's the thing. They're going to have more movies coming out in 2026 that aren't even announced that are going to be big movies. Now what they're going to do is they're going to move one or two of these big movies into 2025 because they're going to see 2026 will be so jam-packed loaded. It will break 13 billion after they announce a couple more that they're going to announce. They'll look over and say we can afford to move one big movie into 2025 to make sure that 2025 for us is profitable as well because they have shareholders that they need. Like I told you guys, the longer that strike came on, the more pissed off their shareholders are going because they're going, you're burning money for what? You could pay these guys a fraction of what you're losing, and all you're doing is fucking us. So what are we doing here? You're just hurting the stock price, and that's exactly what they did. And in the end of the day, you now need to go into a boardroom with those pissed off shareholders, and you need to explain why you lost all that money and how you're going to make up for it. And how they're going to make up for it is, like I told you, they're going to start making mass production of giant movies, and they're going to pop them out as hard as they possibly can. So in 2026, you got the next Avengers. That is going to kill it. Robert Downey Jr. will be in it. That will blow up. You have the next Batman. You have the Batman Part 2. You have the untitled Christopher Nolan Universal project. This thing's supposed to be insane. We'll know more about it soon. You have Scream 7. As we just went over, they just added it. You have the new Spider-Man movie. So that's already projected as number 5. You have Project Hail Mary. You have Toy Story 5. You have the next Fast and Furious Part 2. You have the next Lord of the Rings. Now, this is not an animated Lord of the Rings. This will be the next Lord of the Rings after, like, The Hobbit. This will blow the fuck up. This will be huge. Those people go crazy. Lord of the Rings fans have been dying for one of these. The Hunt for Gollum should blow up. You got Terrifier 4. This says Supergirl, but I mean, I don't know how good that's going to do. I'm not going to say Supergirl's going to be number 10. They're crazy. Um, you got the next DC, Masters of the Universe, so basically their next Avengers on the DC side. You have the next Star Wars movie, the new Jedi Order. You have the next Mona live action. This will be the first Mona live action, and as you guys already seen with Monas, these shows explode. They explode. You have Shrek 5. You also have The Mandalorian and Grogu. So you have 2 Star Wars movies coming up. You have the next Steven Spielberg movie. It's untitled right now. You have Jumanji 3, as I just went over. The last one did 310 million domestic. You have The Last Airbender movie. You have the next James Bond movie. You have the next Hunger Games movie. You have the next Super Mario Brothers movie. You have a Cat in the Hat movie. You have Jordan Peele's new movie coming out. You have Hoppers, which is going to be the next brand new Pixar film, just like, The Wild Robot was a brand new Pixar film. This will be their next one called Hoppers. You have the next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie coming out. You have Paw Patrol 3 coming out. So, to the point of this, is my volume super low? Turn volume all the way up. Is it super low? I don't know if my volume's low, but like I said, they're going to still announce more movies. So at this point, you have 26, 27 movies that are all going to be massive, massive box office movies. Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better, guys. Thank you. Oh yeah, the wild. So it was. I apologize. It was DreamWorks. You are correct. I apologize. I apologize. It was not. The wild robot was not. It was not. I should have done a little more research on that one. That's funny. I apologize. Pixar's is the little green guys, Despicable Me's. That's the one I meant. But as you guys can see, there's like 26, 27 insanely massive movies. They expect 2026 to be the biggest box office in U.S. history. When AMC makes it there, like I said, now you're going to be at that point where fundamentals take over. Fundamentals will be crushing everything we need. You will be, like I said, if you have the biggest box office in history and it breaks 13 billion, 12.5 billion, AMC will be profiting hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And you're going to be feeling fucking great. And on top of that, we'll see what happens in 2025 because the way the world's going right now, we'll see what happens with these rates and stuff. But if the feds keep lowering rates to help the corporations and to try to help ease commercial real estate, oh yeah, we're going to be feeling real good in 2026. So again, now everybody going, oh my god, he's saying we have to wait till 2026. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying the path forward for AMC is nothing but straight up a mountain. Like I said, 2023 or Q3 profits, Q4 profits. 2025 they've projected to be profitable. They're still adding movies. They will take one of those big movies, they will move it into 2025. 2026 is the biggest box office in history. AMC will have its most profitable year in 2026, and it's going to be at a point where it won't even be close. It will absolutely set every single record in company history, and it will shatter them, and it will shatter them. Like I said, there's no downside at this point. The only thing I could see AMC, and here's the thing, if AMC jumps up to 566 and those convert over, and all of a sudden AMC closes down 414 million in debt, and we jump down to about 3.68, AMC will be honestly destroying it in 2026. It won't even be close. To put into perspective, Cinemark or Cinemax or whatever, they're at $30 right now. They have 3.3 billion in debt. We would close down an entire note. On top of that, you're continuously cleaning down the balance sheet, and that is what we need to do. We need to fix balance sheets. We need to continuously close unprofitable theaters. And on top of that, they already said they want to invest $100 million into upgrades in 2025. Sweet. That way in 2026, when you have the biggest box office in United States history, you now have even more upgraded theaters that when that time comes, they should be raking in the profits, and all of the money you spent on upgrades within 1 year will be paid. And then some. So again, AMC at this point, just keep seeing movies, keep buying everything. This should be a profitable quarter, 2025. Like I said, that's what we needed to get to. We're finally there. On top of it, everything for them is fucking collapsing and crushing down on their heads. I told you guys in about a month and a half, this is when stuff's going to start getting fun. And it's going to start getting real fun for us real quick. Oh, before we get into that, I do need to cover this for AMC. This is very important. Why streaming content could finally be Hollywood's final act. Streaming services is pretty much screwing them up. Streaming service, this talks about how it started off as such a great thing, profitable thing. Now people are just pirating all their stuff. They're losing billions of dollars. These guys are losing tons and tons and tons of money on their streaming service. And what's happening now is you have Netflix basically becoming a monopoly. They're becoming a superior platform to everybody, to where all these other platforms are now needing to basically give in to them. What is happening now is you're coming to see Disney, other platforms are now licensing their content, as you can see. Coming in full circle, Iger pulled more than 50 titles from Disney Plus because they weren't making enough money on showing these things on Disney Plus. But since he pulled these titles from Disney Plus, it made Disney Plus that much more unattractive. And that thus became the downward spiral. Well, what he had to do was take those 50 and he had to actually license it. See, the only way he could generate revenue, because his streaming platform wasn't making it, he had to license it to other platforms like Netflix. And next thing you notice, you have all of these other people now, Peacock, all of these guys, they're licensing Amazon, they're licensing everything to Netflix. Netflix is going to become this superior thing, and they're going to have 4 or 5 massive tiers like you're already seeing, and then they're going to be trying to become Amazon. They're going to end up being, hey, Bad Boys, the second Amazon's got Bad Boys, if you sign up for our streaming service, you can watch Bad Boys right after. Just wait a week or two. Save some money. Amazon's going to take over, and basically Amazon's going to be the new streaming service, the new platform, because all of these other platforms are losing them money. So what they need to do is actually create tons and tons and tons of more theatrical releases. Well, if you look over at this, a lot more actors are actually backing away from Netflix because they don't like their motto. Because what Netflix is doing is they're not doing theatrical releases, so these guys, these actors, are only getting a certain paycheck that Netflix gives them, a flat rate, because they don't get any bonus on how much more people view it on the streaming platform. They don't get anything else. They get the one-time fee. But if they get theatrical release as well, they also get extra money, and the fact that they don't do that, more and more actors are saying your type of Daniel Craig reportedly not happy with Knives Out film not getting a theatrical release. They had an extremely testy exchange with the Netflix CEO claiming that their model is fucked because it screws actors over from making a lot of money and getting all that extra film. So, because what happens is when these things get paid, when these movies, get shown on, when it goes into theatricals as well, they also go to TNT and all that stuff, and then they'll get paid. They get paid for it showing every time it goes on cable as well. Well, they don't get that on Netflix because Netflix already paid them for the one flat fee, and Netflix only shows it on Netflix. So a lot of actors are trying to back away from the Netflix model and their streaming service, and they're trying to get into theatrical release where the real money is at. So again, nothing but great news for AMC. Nothing but great news. Oh, and this came out today. Exactly what I just went over. This just came out. Netflix Universal renewed animated license deal in United States and will now add live action titles starting in 2027. So what this means now is, so like we went over here. So I showed you guys Mona 2. Mona 2 is going to be a live action movie. It's going to be live people of the film. So what they wanted to do is, they know that the way that Disney wants to move is they want to do more live action of their stuff. So they wanted to make sure that they locked in their live action film, and they wanted all their animated deals. But what is, if you look down here, what is funny? Netflix, CNBC Universal Entertainment announced a deal to renew their existing license for animated films, and along with DreamWorks, now beginning in 2027, Netflix will have the right to live action films with Universal Pictures and Focus Features. But it will have them no later than 8 months after theatrical. That is massive, you guys. 8 months. They're going to push these things off as long as they can. On top of that, where's this other part here? I saw this other thing. It said not as fast. Hold on. They wanted Hold on. It broke it down. It gave me a. God damn it. Hold on. Where'd it go? It gave me a window. It said they also wanted like 32 weeks. It said in window it wanted it no later than 8 months, but it was like 3 or 4 weeks. I grabbed the wrong one. It was like 3 or 4 weeks after. So like they needed to be in theaters at least a month and a half. I can't. Of course, it's the longest fucking article. I grabbed the wrong one. Hold on. Let me Google this. There was 2 articles I had on this. I grabbed this is the wrong one. This is the one. It was a Netflix one. I don't want to read all this and find it. I'll put this on the side and read and keep going. It's like 6 weeks, so it's like it's going to be in there for at least 6 to 7 weeks, in theatrical, and it can't be in after 8 months. They automatically get it basically. But I'll keep looking for that while I'm going. But moving on from AMC, like I said, nothing but everything in AMC's future is going up. It's just going, like I said, straight up. Every good news you could possibly ask for is coming our way. So just give it time. AMC's price will rebound. It will hit that 566. All the little shills are gonna bitch and cry. Oh my god, see, he's helping out the shorts. No, he just cleared $414 million in fucking debt is what he did, and he cleaned the balance sheet up, polished it up before the biggest theatrical domestic box office in United States history. Let's fucking go. Like I said, I'm feeling great about AMC's future at this point. Now, let's get into the everything. Let's get into the MOAS. Let's get into this play because everything is finally setting up. We've been getting there. It's been boiling. It's been going down this path, and we're finally getting towards the end of that path. We're finally reaching that point that I've been waiting for quite a long time. Currently, the United States debt is at $35,815,000,000,000. The United States in the last 4 weeks has went up over $406 billion. Our debt has gone up over $406 billion in the last 4 weeks. Jesus. The rate that they're spending, because what they're doing is it. I feel like I don't want to get into politics. I'm not even going to get into that. Our government right now, let's just say they for political reasons don't give a fuck about spending right now. They're going to spend off their ass. They're going to just do every possible thing they can to blow this thing up higher and higher and put it in to the next presidential candidate's hands and make it a worse situation. Let's just put it at that. Um, but what this is doing, we've went over the 10-year before, but I don't think people are understanding the grasp of what's happening right now. Today, the 10-year just hit 4.31. The 10-year is going to keep on skyrocketing. We went back down to 4.2, but the problem is the debt keeps on getting riskier. The debt keeps on getting riskier, and it keeps on growing. One of the things people are still not talking about is the 7.6 trillion in treasury notes that are due in November. That's going to massively spike rates. It is going to put the risk attached to the United States debt way riskier. It's going to skyrocket it. This is going to jump to 4.6. This will jump to 4.7 in the next couple months. What that's going to do, as you are already seeing, the price of gold is skyrocketing. The price of gold is it's almost at 2,800 at this point. I've told you guys to get into commodities. If you got into commodities a long time ago, if you guys got when I first started talking about get into gold right now, you're already up over 1,000. You are killing it. You are absolutely killing it. At any point in the last 5 to 6 months that you have listened, 8, 9, 10 months last year that you have listened to buy gold, your gold value has skyrocketed. Skyrocketed. Other people that wanted silver, silver has skyrocketed. The silver is at an all-time high. Everybody's seeing what's happening. All fiat currencies are beyond fucked, and it's to the point now that it's unsavable. They've hit it. It's unfucking savable at this point. I'm going to say this over and over again. Gold is still going to keep going up quite a bit. Gold will still keep going up quite a bit. Cryptos. I am not a crypto guy. I have never in my life pushed crypto before this. I'm not even going to say a crypto name. I don't give a fuck what one you pick. I'm not going to push one. I don't care. There will be cryptos that are going to jump. There are going to be cryptos that are going to jump pretty good too. People are going away from the dollar. Other countries, BRICS is getting so much stronger. I showed you guys before I had to take my break there. BRICS just set up their first payment system. This is getting to be no joke. The rest of the world, this is the problem. I told you guys forever they can't cut rates, and they didn't cut it, and I was right for 2.5 years. They couldn't afford to do it because one, it shows a sign of weakness to the rest of the world, and we're at that point where we can't show a sign of weakness to the rest of the world because the rest of the world has been waiting for a sign of weakness for years. And now it's there. It's now beyond there. The 10-year. People go, what's the big deal about the 10-year? As you guys are seeing right now, before I even get back into this, what is happening to mortgages? Look at mortgage rates today. They have dropped mortgages. I'm sorry, the Fed's cut rates. When the Fed's cut rates, mortgages were at 6.18%. 6.18%. I posted that today. Now that they've cut rates, we have jumped up to 7.03 with no signs of slowing down. It's gone up a whole percent. It's going to keep going up too. The 10-year determines basically everything for middle class. Now, I wanted to explain, we're going to get political for 10 seconds. I'm not going to tell you a side, a person, I don't care. I'm going to tell you facts about politics. No politician gives a fuck about the middle class. Not a single one gives a fuck about the middle class until they say the debt needs to be taken care of because we need the tenure down. The tenure affects you more than anything else. The tenure determines mortgage rates. The tenure determines credit card rates. The tenure determines auto mortgage rates. It determines tons of other things, but those are the three main things that it's going to determine in your life. So when this starts to go up, middle class gets fucked every time. We get hurt. It hurts us more and more and more. And every time the debt goes up, this will go up with it. If any politician wanted to truly come in and help the middle class, I'm going to tell you right now what I would do as president. I would tackle the debt instantly. It would drop this 10-year. That would be my only concern. It would get rid of tons of interest payments that we're paying. We're paying 1.2 trillion in interest, and all of a sudden I would be saving hundreds of billions of dollars. Hundreds of billions of dollars that I would be putting into my economy, into stimuluses that would only be for middle class people that have X amount to start up a company. Fuck them. I don't give a shit if any rich people want to bitch. How many fucking handouts have you had? It's time for middle class to get one. And by putting it into there's no rules other than this and this, type of thing, middle class type things, and you can't have over X amount of money because you don't. If you have already X amount of money, you can obviously afford to do it anyways, on your own. And I would let more middle class businesses have a chance to succeed and thrive. And by doing that, I collect more taxes, and on top of that, more people have jobs. And next thing you notice, everyone can spend more money, and there you go. You could fix so much just doing, fixing the debt, fixing this, focusing on that. That would be insanely beneficial, but none of them talk about it. Not once. You will never hear a single one talk about it. They will continuously run this up. They will continuously say to everybody, the GDP supports this debt. Who gives a fuck? Your middle class doesn't. I don't give a fuck if your fake GDP that hasn't been revised yet. I've already showed you GDI tells me otherwise. GDI tells me your GDP is a fucking lie and you actually don't support it. So Janet Yellen, you're a fucking liar. And you want me to prove Janet Yellen's a liar? Janet Yellen comes out the other day and says, fiscal deficit reduction is required over the coming years. You think, dumbass? Because the only way you're going to fix your middle class is by doing that. The feds aren't going to save us because here's the thing. When the feds lower rates, what happens? Banks aren't charging you less. Banks are still charging you the same fucking amount. As a matter of fact, I just proved to you, banks are charging you more for your rates. So, when the feds drop rates, that means that banks will pay you less money for the money in your deposit. That's what it means, okay? So you make money. Once again, so as the feds are dropping rates, it hurts middle class because it means you make less money in your bank deposit. Meanwhile, it's showing signs of weakness to other countries which are backing away from our treasuries, which means what? The 10-year will keep going up. And as long as the 10-year keeps going up, you continuously hurt middle class. It's a double-edged sword into middle class. Always into your pocket. Always. Now, other countries are seeing that the United States middle class GDP does not support our debt, and it's continuously growing at a rate that is unsustainable, and there's nothing that they can do to slow it down because no one gives a fuck to do so. And it's not going to happen anytime soon. And I'm sorry, I don't care who. I believe there. I'm not going to say candidate ever because who cares? It's my point of view. I believe there's a easy candidate that's better than the other, but either one that wins is going to absorb such a shitstorm. It's not even funny, and if this isn't addressed, it doesn't matter much what that president does. You're going to feel the pain either way because your mortgages are going to be at the 8%. 8 fucking percent. Credit card rates are at the highest they've ever been, and they're going to be at there. I want you guys to listen to this because this is so unbelievably unreal. An average, if you Google right now the average credit card debt for a middle class, the average person, it's over $5,000. If you Google the average rate for average, credit cards for people, taken on over the years, it's over 23%. It's like 24.7% if I remember right. So you have people at $5,000 plus at 27%. How much are they paying every month on interest? And it's going to keep going up. So if you're listening and you have credit card debt, high credit card debt, this is where it's affecting you as well. Because those credit card companies, every time you don't lower that balance enough, it doesn't matter. You're still going to know if you don't pay it off, you're still going to be paying that new debt, that new rate. You're going to be paying that new rate on what you owe on your balance. You want to get a house? Well, it's going to cost you 8%. And I've already shown you, which we'll get into in a minute, the prices at housing, that the housing market's completely dead. I'm going to show you what's going to happen in the United States. It's right in front of everyone's eyes. It's right in front of everyone's faces. This is what's going to happen to housing in the United States, which we'll get into in a minute because it's going to drastically look different here in a little while. Um, but here's the thing. I've shown you guys before all of these big banks. JP Morgan Chase has gold position, short position that's bigger than their assets, and gold is skyrocketing and not slowing down. You had the CFTC tell you that anybody that tells you to buy gold is a scam artist. And they told you that over a month ago. Since the CFTC posted that Twitter post that said anyone that tells you to buy gold in the next couple weeks or months or upcoming time is a scammer, you're up 126. And they said anyone that told you that to buy it is fucking you out of your money and just wants you to get views. No, the CFTC is just like all these other guys. They don't want you buying gold. Do I have it? Yes. Do I? Do do I? Oh, of course I want gold to go as high as it fucking can. I've been going for it for a long time. Of course I do. So if anyone's like, "Well, you're just saying that because you have self-interest," no, I'm saying that because it's facts. It's right in front of you. It's what the 10-year says. It's what the debt says. It's what every other country is telling you. It's every central bank is buying. I showed you last chart. Central banks are buying gold at the fastest pace in history of the world. Central banks are buying gold at the fastest rate at the history of the world. They've never bought gold faster and harder than they're doing right now. What does that tell you? Every single country has came out and said the same thing. We want more gold to back a certain percent of our currency to raise the value of our currency, and then we're going to start trade. This is what all the BRIC members said. We're going to get all enough gold to back as much of our currency as we can. We're going to join BRICS. We're going to now do this trade where only BRICS members trade with BRICS currencies, which means demand for my currency will raise, which means the value of my currency will raise as well, which means the value of the dollar will weaken across the board. If the United States does not tackle this fucking debt problem at some point here in the next couple years at the rate, within a year and a half at the rate they're going, if they hit that 40 trillion mark, I don't even know what they're gonna do. They're gonna need to make like a digital dollar or something that and like print off. I need to show you guys something. I need to show you guys something because I want you to listen to this. I think COVID was a huge. I'll get into this next week. I think COVID was a huge scam. The United States banking system in 2019 collapsed. We're going to go into this. This is from the Board of Government. This is from the Federal Reserve System. And I need to go over this next time with you guys. We have to go over this. I 100% believe it was an excuse for this, for them to print 6 trillion to give back to themselves to fix this. We're going to dive into this. There was a huge problem before COVID in the financial system. We're going to break into this. I really wanted to. It's going to take too long. It's going to take too long. I really want to get into this though. That's going to be my next video. But I think it honestly was an excuse for them to print 6 trillion to cover that up, to fix that band-aid. But the problem is, and this is why I'm telling you, you guys, I always believed a market crash of some sort would need to happen for us to mow ass. Because what have I shown you? I have shown you factually what they are doing to get around margin calls. The 5 United States banks are using their federally reserved backed banks to write contracts through ISDAs and derivatives to give out to these hedge funds to keep them afloat. What this does is it goes around regulation, and this means they no longer need to follow margin and all of these requirements. It's up to the banks to declare it a default on the loan to collect. Okay? That is important for you to understand. That is the most important thing I've ever taught you to understand. You have to understand the difference. When JP Morgan does it through their hedge fund type banks and all of that regulation, it is monitored. They need to do it. When they do it through their federally reserved backed bank, it doesn't follow the same regulations. They can't come after them, and it's not up to any broker. It's not up to a regulator to come and say this is incorrect. It is 100% up to JP criminal domestic terrorist Chase to say I need to collect, I need to margin call you. That is the biggest difference, and it's backed by taxpayers. So the chances of them saying that is zero. And I've shown you what they're doing is not collecting on them. They're telling them instead, just give me a fee. Just give me a fee. Just keep paying me a small fee, and I will keep extending this loan. I've shown you multiple articles backing this, multiple references. This is exactly what they're doing. I've shown you the income statements from their federally backed reserved banks that showed you this is exactly what they're doing. I showed you every statement, financial statement, to a T. This is what they're doing. There's no question about it. It's not like, no, maybe, no, this is what they're doing to get around margin regulations. This is what they are doing. Which is why I keep on saying it is so imperative for those 5 banks to take such a massive smackdown. Smackdown. They have no choice but to say, fuck, we gotta margin on some of these fucking loans. We gotta margin on some of these contracts because we're taking such massive hits too. And that's what is happening. And this is why I believe the CRE bomb is it. This is why, because we're going to get into that COVID thing next time, and it backs all of this stuff I'm saying, which is why I want to get into it so bad. Before we get into this, hold on. So, God, there's so much stuff to cover today. The CRE bomb, I have to get into that first. I have to get into that before we get into all this crap because I don't care about this stuff right now. This is the most important thing. The commercial real estate bomb was projected. Okay, it is a 900. Listen, I know people don't like was when Boss Blunts was talking about Evergrande for so long. I don't know why everybody meshes me and him together. He was saying it would be this big thing, and I'm like, it's not a big deal because it was like a $25 billion exposure, and they had years to prepare. I want you to listen to that one more time. Evergrande was only 25 billion in exposure, okay? And they had years to prepare. The commercial real estate bomb that I'm told you guys hits next month is now at $900 billion. $900
$700 billion. And now you have to hear this number. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. It's loading. Hold on, hold on. What? Why is this doing this right now? Nope. I can't wait to show you that too, because that has to go next. Where is it? There we go. Oh yeah. U.S. banks. Now I told you guys these guys were taking 60, 70, 80% losses on their defaults. 90% losses. I showed you that one guy that sold the building for $1 and the bank took basically a 90% hit and he just declared bankruptcy, took the dollar and moved on. It was genius. It was absolutely fucking genius. They were scared all these people were going to do that. Well, they now have calculated with the actual percentage that they think they will lose. Out of $900 billion, listen to this number, this is so nuts. Out of $900 billion in loans, they project 750 billion in losses. That's like a 75% hit on almost $1 trillion. They project banks to take a $750 billion hit on these fucking loans. Holy crap. Like, I knew it was bad. Now, I want you to listen to this, too. The 2008 financial crisis. Wait, was this the right one? Hold on, I have so many fucking articles. No, this isn't it. I'm going to post this. Read this. Take your time. Everyone in chat, take your time to take this article and make sure you read this article. It is unbelievable. As you guys can see, significant danger remains. So what this talks about is in 2008, they ended up putting in all these regulations that actually made it fucking worse. It didn't help, and they pretended that it was making it better, and they pushed it and pushed it and pushed it, and now they go, well, now it's to the point where you pushed it too much that you guys are now skyrocketed to losses, loss exposure, up to 750 billion. Now I want you guys to listen to this. These guys got printed trillions of dollars. These guys got handed hundreds of billions of dollars, and they still can't afford it. These guys called us dumb money, and we fucking held. All of you that have held, congratulations. People that have added to your position, congratulations. It will pay off. It will fucking pay off. Because AMC's future is going nothing but skyrocketing up. AMC has, like I said, nothing but profits. Congratulations, you are finally out of that burning hundreds of fucking millions of dollars, wanting to punch a wall all the time phase to you're going to be profitable in 2025, and in 2026 you will be raking in hundreds of millions. Congratulations. AMC will end up getting to be a power fucking house. It will pay off. This is going to hit them. When this hit banks, when 750 billion in losses hit banks, they're going to come margin those motherfuckers that we've been waiting for. They're going to say, "Give me this. Close your shit down. I need to collect X amount from at." They're not going to here's listen, I need you to listen. This is important. I need you to listen. They're not going to close them down. They're not going to go, let's say they have, like I showed you with JP Morgan. JP Morgan Chase has over 1,300 hedge funds that they back, okay? JP Morgan Chase is not going to go up to these 1,300 hedge funds and start fucking smashing them down. What they're going to do is they're going to go to each one and take a huge portion of their profiles. They're going to calculate how many they need to take from, how much they need to take from that can maybe save them because if these guys go down, that's loss, unrealized losses, they're going to take as losses now. So it's like a double-edged sword there. So they need to kind of keep them alive. But then the short's going to go off. On the market side, all these things are going to start to get filled, and the short itself will finish them. So that will be the key. MOAS. What was MOAS? MOAS was when many hedge funds went down at once. and maybe even a major bank, which I've been showing you all about Bank of America. You might have a major bank go down. That is when you mow ass, is when thousands cover. Thousands of hedge funds, hundreds of hedge funds, not one, not two, not a squeeze. You're talking MOAS. You talked about mother of all squeezes. That's when you take down multiple hedge funds. How do you do that? You get your company profitable. Said that since day one. Fix that balance sheet, guys. It's important. Give Adam his fucking shares, and we would have never came up with Ape, and we would have sold AMC at like $17. He could have made another billion and a half, paid it down before Ape even came out, and the entire situation we would have been in would have been different. We live, we learn. So all these Project Popcorn, all these fucking retards, look in the mirror. You want to blame Adam for doing stuff stupidly? Yeah, he did shit stupid as helly. And yeah, he sold at dumb times, but we fucked up too. But none of that's gonna matter. If you were staying true to this, if you've seen the price drop where it is, if you kept on buying, if you averaged down, if you decided to do strategies, you learned plays, you bought, you sold. Hold on 1 second. Oh god, I thought I heard him blowing his head off here. Angel, thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, I believe we will squeeze way before 2030. I believe AMC, I believe a MOAS. Here's the thing, the government can no longer help them. I told you guys since, I don't think they make it to the end of the year. I still don't. I do not believe a crash doesn't happen before December. There's no way. Like, if a major, massive, if that crash that I have been talking about does not happen by like December to slash February, I'll be in complete shock and awe. Because it's way different this time. Here's the thing. Here, let me show you something. I want you guys to understand something. And then maybe you'll finally give me a fucking pass for Phase 6 for once. Maybe I won't have to hear about Phase 6. Where the hell is it? Hold on. Of course I can't find it here. No. Here you go. Okay. When I first did research on Phase 6, the World Bank kept coming out that the World Bank would be in charge. It wasn't the United States. It wasn't it wasn't Russia, China. No, it was the World Bank was in charge. Well, when I made my stuff, the more I did, research on Phase 6 and what it was supposed to do, everything made sense that it would have fucked them up. But the one thing I didn't do research on enough was the World Bank itself, which, duh, should have been my first thing. Who's going to be regulating it? And at the time, I thought the World Bank would hold the United States accountable. Like, makes sense, right? Well, it turns out the World Bank is basically owned by the fucking United States. We basically run the World Bank. We're pretty much in charge of it. We're the main majority on the board. We pretty much are in control of the World Bank. We got most to say on the World Bank. So it turns out the same corrupt piles of shit are the same fuckers in charge of the World Bank that is in charge of Phase 6. Well, this comes out the other day, and it has to do with the reason I bring these pieces of shit up is it has to do with these guys. World Bank, listen to this shit, Jesus. World Bank loses track of $41 billion in funds that was set allocated for fighting climate control. There's no books, there's no records. When the World Bank gets money, there's not a single person alive that knows what happens with it other than the person that took it away. There's no receipt. There is nothing in their computer system. There is nothing to track a single thing that happens with it. It just gets spent. They have the apparently worst tracking system in the entire world. 40% of all climate funds that were paid by banks over the last 7 years to the World Bank has went missing. It's gone. They don't know where it went. Can't find it. No receipts. Nothing. Nowhere to track it. $41 billion vanishes by the same people in charge of Phase 6. So, again, now you see who's in charge of Phase 6. Maybe you'll give me a fucking pass because I was obviously wrong as fuck. I'll be the first to admit it. If you had proper regulators in charge, Phase 6 would have killed them. The other thing I didn't think about was when they did the contract, and I showed you guys they had a third party system there. Turns out the third party system's a rating agency type thing. And we already know about the rating agencies from 2008, how they can just be bought off to be fucking, here you go, you're good to go. So I wasn't aware because they didn't really truly announce what type of people would be the third party rating system. And then you find out it's the same pieces of shit from 2008 that rated all the mortgages. Hey, these are great ratings. So, again, they here's the thing. They didn't learn in 2008. They just went right back to the same criminals and they printed $6 trillion to start it off with, basically. And they, like I said, here, I want you guys. I'm gonna give you guys some research, okay? I'm gonna give everyone here listening to me some research. If you have 45 minutes, not even, it doesn't even take that long. Where the hell did it just go, man? If you have, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes, read that link I just sent. And then I really want you to do this, please. If you took the time, and I will engage with you all day long. If you want to have a conversation with me in the comments, I will engage with you for this all day long because I am very intrigued in everyone's honest to God opinion on this when you read this article. I believe in 2019 a massive crash happened and they printed the $6 trillion because the entire system was going to collapse. They needed that money. They needed an excuse. I truly believe it. I believe that, like I said, timing's everything. Timing was everything. And read this, and when you read this, comment below and tell me if you think that this is coincidence. Tell me if you think that I'm onto something, or tell me if you think. I'm just curious what you think. But please read that link. And I really want to go, and we're going to go over this next time, like I said, guys, because I want you to know why I, honest to God, now think COVID happened. And I'm not saying the virus wasn't real because there was people that died, like, but what I believe is, we'll get in it next time. I believe COVID was real, but obviously it was lab created, but it's easy to release a virus if you want. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying COVID was fake. I'm not saying the disease is fake. But I'm saying that it was let out on purpose for a reason, and I believe this was the reason. I believe that this was going to go catastrophically down. But we'll see. Jimmy still popping? Is it still popping? We popping the after hours? I have my phone. I don't have my phone upstairs. I can probably log on. I'm gonna log in my brokerage. Yeah. What are we popping? What are we at? What are we at? What are we at? Scott, what are we popping? What are we popping to? I still have GME, man. Yes, I talk shit sometimes, but I just talk shit to the elites that just can't fucking, like, man. Dude, I'm in GameStop, and I've told you guys forever I've been in GameStop, and I'll keep staying in GameStop. To me at this point, there's no downside to GameStop. I believe Ryan Cohen's going to figure out a path. Think about this. If you have $5 billion chilling and you have no debt and you're just chilling and you have all the time in the world, how don't you think of a path to take your company? How don't you think of, all right, this is how we're going to turn things around and become profitable? You have all this retail space already. You can turn it into whatever the fuck you want. You have billions of dollars and you don't need to take loans to do anything. We pop in 2377. Let's go. 2390. Let's go. But like I said, I hate when an elitist talks shit to another person from the stock choice they picked and they act like their CEO is any different. Again, I believe in Ryan. I believe in GameStop at this point. But it does not change the fact that since you have owned GameStop, Ryan has came up with zero new revenue streams that have been profitable. His NFT revenue stream was his only thing, and it failed. He hasn't came up with anything new. And now you're going to talk about all these people going, oh, the card grading. We just came up with the card grading. Well, that's a wait and see. I'll wait and see till I see some numbers before I'm like, God, that was a great idea. But what he did do, because Ryan is a very intelligent person, is he put that into, or he took all that's where he's gaining interest to offset any losses in the meantime. So that means to own GameStop, there's zero risk because he will always be generating enough interest because he will keep continuously re-putting the interest in everything he's gaining back in. So he will always be able to do enough to offset, and if he doesn't, he'll do a capital raise and he'll raise another 400 or 500 million, and guess what? Put that into to notes, to treasuries, and guess what he's going to be doing there? Making more interest, and then he'll continuously offset. GameStop's not going anywhere, and he's going to keep on. Like I said, he'll dilute to the point that he needs to always offset losses. If he's not going to have any offset, no losses for his company, there's no need to dilute. He might do it on a couple runs because exactly like Roaring Kitty said too. If you can stack as much cash as possible in the long term for your company and shareholders, it will be worth it if you invest it properly in your company. And I've said that forever with AMC, and nobody wanted to hear it. If we would, like I said, if we would have cleaned up AMC's balance sheet a year and a half ago, who knows what would have been, how different we would have been looking at right now. You don't know. We can only Pantino. That dude's a fucking clown, bro. First he says AMC. I'm not gonna get into that guy. That guy literally changes. He is wrong every week. Says something one day, then he's wrong. Says something the next day, wrong, and then comes out with a video saying I'm the most accurate out here, and my POIs are just smacking it. What are you talking about? You were he. AMC wasn't it supposed to be at $22 in October? Last week weren't we supposed to be at 810? Like he continuously changed it. Now, oh man, we're going down to 150. And now next week when he's wrong, or in a couple weeks when he's wrong, and we don't hit 150 or even get close to going down, guess what he's gonna say? Oh, I'm following a $1 trillion algorithm and I'm doing the best I can. Well, then stop telling me you're 85% accurate. You're obviously not 85% accurate. Exactly. He's a fucking narcissist, man. Like I said, it's like, it's crazy, man. That dude fucking cracks me up, bro. Like people will show me like 5 seconds of like 50 seconds of his. I'm the best trader in history. I have cracked. Listen to me. Let me tell you something right now. If anybody in the entire world, listen to this because you really need to listen to this. If any human being alive cracked these maybe $1 trillion algorithms, he's not on anything you'll ever see. He would be the richest man alive, and you would never see him again. If he was right 85% of the time on anything he wanted, you would never see him again. He would be so rich he wouldn't even bother with it. He wouldn't waste his time recording. No one would. No one would. So never fall for that crap. I'm 80, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, like I said, I've shown you guys a couple plays. I've shown you guys the spy play on like 6 to 7 different occasions. Every single time we were at 300% plus on our option calls. That Coinbase trade, if you got one option call on Coinbase, when I told you guys to get option calls on Coinbase, you went up $120 a share on super low IV. Do the math. You did insane. You did insane amount. If you listened to me on that Coinbase trade, you could have made up pretty much everything, any amount you lost on AMC. We went up 120 a share in 2 weeks, and I told you to get it a month out. You killed it. Did I say I'm a fucking genius? No. The only time I say trades are event type trades. The only time I will ever come up on here, I have tons of trades. And this is what I don't like Chris Soljak attacking me. Oh, blah, 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 blah. What do you know? You have no idea what I trade. You have no fucking clue. You have no clue. Not a single person does. Other than when I say the spy's up and other when I say certain things. Get gold. Certain things. That's the only thing you know. That's all I'll ever show you. Because I will only talk about things that I know for certain on event trades. Coinbase was the custodial for every single Bitcoin. All those Bitcoin ETFs. There was no chance Bitcoin didn't have a run after. Do you know how much money Bitcoin generated off being the custodial just for those ETFs? It was unreal. It was unfucking real. Like I said, there are things you can look and that's one of the things, one of the strategies I was going to talk to you guys about when I was pulling up all those strategies before my heart attack there. Event trading can be the most profitable trading you can possibly do, and that is why I tell you guys, that's why one of the reasons I research all fucking day, because if you know an event and a lot of people, you'll go on Yahoo. Let's just use this as an example, and maybe this will change your way of thinking. A lot of people will go on Yahoo and they'll see all these articles, these headlines, and about all these devastating things and all this bad stuff, and they'll read it and just go, "Oh, that sucks." What you should be doing is grabbing that, looking at it, and reading it and going, "What companies does this affect?" Type of things like that. And if you do that enough, you will eventually start to catch on to key things. You will know what to look for, and you will get good at event trading. Event trading is a very profitable strategy. Very profitable strategy. But let's get back to all this because, again, this is where we really need to get into. So they have 750 billion in losses coming. Okay. Well, what have they been doing to make sure that they get it to the higher number? New York Fed, so this is coming from the feds, says banks obscuring commercial real estate risk by extending loan terms. Like I told you guys. Instead of collecting on these margins, instead of defaulting on these buildings, instead of letting hedge funds default, they end up extending the loans for small fees. And they push it off. And then they push it off until they can't anymore. Banks have been tweaking the terms of commercial real estate mortgages to obscure losses. So if they've been sitting there forever just tweaking them and tweaking them and tweaking them and delaying the day of reckoning. This is increasing risk to the broader financial system. you, you think? So you think that if banks take a $750 billion loss, it's not going to come back and hit the market and you're not going to have that crash I've talked to you about? Well, the Federal Reserve sure thinks that I'm right. He says, the commercial real estate sector has been under heavy pressure from the pandemic. Down doing lockdowns, you have remote work. The sector has shown few signs of recoveries. On top of that, the Fed rate rises, or the Fed rate rises between 2022 and 2023 have only added to the pressure. Well, the 10 years going up isn't helping much either, is it? So again, they're fucking themselves. So listen to this. Banks extended and pretended. They're pretending now. Banks are pretending, you guys. Banks are saying, we pretended he paid us. We're pretending. Banks are so fucked and so scared they're playing pretend. Banks extended and pretended their impaired CRE mortgages in the past pandemic period to avoid writing off their capital, leading to credit misallocation and a buildup of financial frugality. Oh, sorry, fragilities. Oh, I can't read. The study author wrote, adding problems associated with this lending could arise quickly. You mean so when next month, when every single one of these is up, and you have 900 billion in commercial real estate loans due, you think that could, maybe As he say, problems could arise quickly. How quickly do you think that'll arise? Fed, official, Fed officials have been bracing for some level of manageable trouble among the banks that do CRE loans, but they've argued that whatever issues arise will likely be just modest. But then when you look at the numbers, it's 750 fucking billion concentrated in smaller banks and slow moving and financial institutions. Like I told you guys, when you come down to credit unions, the first thing I told you to do, ask them where they make their money mainly. If it was in commercial real estate, I told you to get the fuck away from that credit union. So, again, credit unions are great, but any bank, medium, small, credit union, non credit union, if they do, you know, most of their business in commercial real estate, like I said, you are going to be at risk. You're not just safe because it's a credit union. So, again, guys, told you guys that forever. Hopefully, people listened and then just go running into, you know, something unknowingly. But chances are you were in a medium to small bank, anyways, that was going to get fucked. Or you were in one of these piece of shit five banks that are the biggest domestic terrorists and you should have got out of there, anyways. But you have banks basically right now playing pretend on payments so they don't have to. What do I think the realistic price for AMC without a squeeze is? Give me a time period. In 2026, I see AMC easily hitting 30 plus just off fundamentals alone. Seeing Cinemark now where it is off fundamentals, if AMC in 2026, the box office does what everyone predicts it to do and is the biggest in box office history, there's absolutely zero reason at that point when AMC's profiting 450 million, 400 million plus. There's absolutely no reason why AMC at that point fundamentally shouldn't be able to skyrocket alone because at that point you're beyond able to pay down your debt. You're beyond able to pay down your debt. And at that point, let's just say God forbid he did a capital raise or two and paid down a couple hundred million extra. Let's say that the other stuff converted at that point. You ended up, paying down that extra 414 million. You get down to Cinemark's debt number at 3.3 billion. You pay down the right notes. You restructure the rest of that $800 million that they talked about restructuring at the new rate. There's absolutely zero reason why AMC can't be that profitable in 2026 to where, like I said, 30 to 35 alone just off fucking fundamentals. So, like I said, AMC fundamentally right now being as low as it is a value buy at any point. The fact that its debt has went down 1.6 billion since we've gotten into this, the fact that their balance sheet is completely fixed, the fact that the box office is going to be completely recovered, the fact that they've added, what's it called? Kind of blanking right now. Distribution. I kept thinking production. I'm like, it's not production. They added distribution. They added, all their popcorn things have been blowing up. They've added more merchandise. So, I mean, AMC's revenue has done nothing but skyrocket. Across the board, they've added more food, beverages, which is their number one money maker. Like I said, it makes no sense AMC's at where it is. It makes zero fucking sense. The only thing they could say is their cash reserve is low. So, like I said, if AMC ends up doing a one or two raises of quick 150 million 200 million, it's not that big a deal. That's what we need to do to shore up the little bit more of the balance sheet and finalize our reserves. Perfect. Finalize it to where you're going to be profitable in the next year, and then have it completely finalized to when you're in 2026 to where all of that profit can actually go down and smash remaining debt, or you can do whatever you want, expand, you can do anything. So 2026 comes, the sky's the limit for AMC, and like I said, everything's getting better and better for it until then. But like I said, this massive problem they have right now with commercial real estate is truly going to be a problem. They have been pushing and pretending that people are paying loans, extending loans, to the point where it's all piling up that their unrealized losses are getting to 750 fucking billion. This is no joke, you guys. This is 750 billion could literally take down hundreds and hundreds of banks. 750 billion in losses. Listen to me. If you're the FDIC is not going to be able to protect your money if all these banks go down. Another reason why I tell you to get the fuck out and go into a credit union. It is vital to have credit, the credit union's insurance company, because your money will be safe then. They're not at risk of bankruptcy like the FDIC already is. The FDIC already is from the last one. They're already bankrupt. They cannot support you. What, baby? Is he? Okay. Um, if you guys, I want, if you guys can wait for like 20 seconds or a minute here, I just gotta go make little man a bottle. And then that way she can feed him and I can keep going. Otherwise, I gotta go. So here, let me go get a bottle ready for him. Oh, baby, you're good. Okay, never mind. He's all right. He's all right. He's back to sleep. We'll keep going here. Sorry about that. All right. Um, back to this here. So deteriorating loans here. The other thing I wanted to show you guys about the commercial real estate here. Um, where was it? Here you go. Debt payers were missing scheduled payments, so they're already pretending that they're paying them, even though they're not. Where is the? Oh, here you go. A looming maturity wall could implicate matters farther when loans mature. So when these mature next month, like I said, listen, when these mature next month, borrowers must either refinance, and it costs a lot of money when you're refinancing a $250 million fucking building. You're gonna have to give them millions of dollars. Do you have the millions of dollars to refinance? Probably not. Or they have to repay the remaining balance in full, and if they do failure to do so, could lead to defaults. So basically, what they're saying is by the end of next month, and listen to this, 950 billion of commercial real estate is expected to mature in the next 2 months. In the next 5 weeks, 950 billion is set to renew. 950 billion in 5 weeks. They could be taking losses of 750 billion in 2 weeks or 5 weeks. Evergrande was 25 and they had years to prepare for it. This is $750 billion and they didn't have years to prepare for it because they didn't prepare for it because they were too fucking stupid and they thought the feds were going to lower rates a long time ago. So again, I 1000% think in the next 5 weeks. I'm not gonna say that Moas, or I don't believe they can go till December because that's when it hits, and you do have to give me time. When something blows up and shit, we know it always takes an extra week or two, maybe a month for it to suddenly be realized. Just like with Coinbase, when it blew up, like I said, it took a couple weeks for it to matter. That's what I'm talking about. We got to I would say I don't. Come February, I would be shocked if these banks are able to hold anything down because the Federal Reserve itself is dead. The Federal Reserve itself can't hold anything up. The Federal Reserve itself is fucked. Now, I want to teach you guys something real quick. Where is it? So, the reverse repo. We end up learning a whole bunch of information about the reverse repo and what they actually were doing and how pretty much Kitty closed out of Chewy. Yeah, I posted he closed out of Chewy here. Here's his filing. Kitty 100% if you didn't hear, he sold out of Chewy 100%, just so you know. But so the reverse repo. Let's talk quick. When COVID happened and they printed $6 trillion, what they ended up doing is the banks were supposed to take a whole bunch of that money, and what the banks were supposed to do was give out loans with that money. They were supposed to put it in a vault, keep it in there, and it would take risk away from loans. That way, us citizens could keep getting loans during COVID, and they'd be more willing to give them out because even if they collapse, then they have that money that's in that reserve that the government would then allow them to use to take the backing away, which lowers the risk, which means they're more willing to give you a loan. Okay? Well, what do you think happened? Criminal shit. What ended up happening is the Federal Reserve gave them hundreds of billions of dollars. Trillion, actually. Gave them 1.1 trillion. So they gave them $1 trillion. Put these in those vaults and give out loans, and it shouldn't stop the economy. You're good to go. Your risk is gone. And what they did with that $1 trillion is they said, fuck that. I'm going to give it back to you, Mr. Federal Reserve, in your reverse repo. Because if I would have did anything else with it, the Federal Reserve would have said, no, you're not. But I'm going to give it back to you in your reverse repo so you can make money off it in the overnight index fund. And what you're going to do is pay me a coupon rate, and you're going to give me back it in the treasuries, the government-backed treasuries, which is collateral-wise the best collateral that we can get. So what the banks were doing is they took the money that the feds printed, gave it back to the feds, exchanged it for government-backed collateral, which is priceless at that point. So you now have government-backed collateral, which they could use for whatever the hell they need. They're now gaining money on that money that would have been sitting in a vault, and they didn't give you loans. Instead, they just said, fuck everyone. We're not going to give loans because the risk isn't, it's too risky. We're going to be losing money, and we can't take that chance. And the Federal Reserve didn't say anything because the Federal Reserve would take that money, go into overnight index funds, and they'd rake in tons of cash. And then they'd give it back to the bank the next day, and they'd do it fucking again. Well, it got to the point where that reached $2 trillion. So basically, they were giving each other hand jobs in the back with the money they were printing, and the bankers had all this excess cash that was supposed to be in vaults that was supposed to give out for mortgages. So what the bankers end up doing? Why they were doing that, this is what the bankers did. So let's say I had $500 million in my vault. I'd go to the Federal Reserve and I'd give them 450 fucking million. They'd back it up, and I'd take 50 billion and I'd go and I'd bet it. I'd lose it, and who gives a fuck, right? Oh well, I lost it. I'll make it back up by making what my profits from the Federal Reserve. I'll just wait until I make that back. No big deal. Well, what happens? They're fucking greedy. So they do it again every day, and every day, and every day. And next thing you notice, that vault cash, as you guys can see, that they printed for them, that vault cash that the Federal Reserve printed for them for COVID to give to us for loans, they gambled it. It's gone. And how do I know that? We have the same amount of participants as we've had for the last fucking 3 months. It's barely gone down. It barely moves. But what is going down is their vault cash. That extra vault cash. And now the rates are going down with it. Now they're looking over going, I can make more money other places, right? Well, now the Federal Reserve's no longer making money off that. They're looking over at them and going, fuck you. You're not going to take that money and keep risking it. It's one thing when you're giving it to me because I am the government and whatever I do is correct. So anywhere I'd spend that would be the right place. But you're not going to go take that money and risk it yourself. Fuck you. So they're demanding them to keep on doing it, but as you guys can see, the vault cash still seems to keep dropping and keep dropping and keep dropping because the Federal Reserve don't have any fucking control over the banking cartel. The banking cartel controls the Federal Reserve, and they don't care. So once again, the Federal Reserve printed money, gave to the banks for you to get a loan. The banks said fuck that. The banks gave it back to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve said, no problem, that's okay. If you're going to give it to me, it's not a big deal. Then they paid them 5.5% rate on whatever they gave them. They took that government-backed collateral treasury note. They and brought that into the stock market, and now it's backed 100% by government, and they're fucking jacked. Now they have great collateral that they can go out and bring into the market. Bank wins, Federal Reserve wins, and we get fucked. We don't get the loans, and that's what they did. That's what they did to you guys. I'm feeling great, thank you. Thank you everybody. I feel a lot better. Got the proper meds on the proper sleep schedule. I'm doing good. Doing really, really good. I really appreciate that though. I appreciate all the kind words, everyone. I really do. Really do appreciate that. It was pretty awesome to see all the stuff people wrote, so I really do appreciate that. Plus I got a little man, I had to take some time, calm down, get the blood pressure right where it needs to be. We're good. We're good. Um but yeah, so this is my point. You guys can see all this, and this is something I wanted to talk about here, but I've been going on for quite a while. I don't know if people want me to keep going. I feel like I've been going on for 3 hours. But here's the thing. I want you guys to listen to this if you have Twitter, if you have the ability to listen to this. I like Peter a lot. I'm going to work on getting him on here. I've been DMing with him. I want to get him on here really bad. But I had my heart attack, and all of a sudden, communication stopped at that point for a while. I wanted to wait till I recovered. So I am going to work on getting him on here as soon as possible. I think he's a very, very intelligent man. He really knows what he's talking about compared to a lot of people, and like he'll call the bank's banking cartel. He knows. Listen. No, it's not loading. Come on, man. Well, I wanted to play a little bit of this clip, but apparently it's not loading. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, let me refresh this quick.
Federal Reserve's rate hikes less than 0 point less.
So what he's going to talk about in this video is the other way that the bank stole from you. Okay? Yeah, dude, I got kids, man. I gotta calm. So I'm trying to, as you guys can see, I'm trying to stay a little calmer in this video as well. but but one of the things he talks about in this video is how banks, they kept on raising rates. When the Federal Reserve raised rates, the banks were supposed to raise your deposit rates along with how much they were raising mortgages. And this is one of the ways they killed middle class. So what the banks were doing were giving you 0.2%, and I've been covering that forever. I told you guys the banks are paying you under 0.5%, so why stay in there? You were losing money if you were sitting in a bank. And then I was showing you how credit unions even were paying 2 to 3. You were making 2 to 3%, 2.5%. You were making way more at a credit union. Well, one of the things this talks about is how these bankers were supposed to give you more, but instead they charged you more on loans, and the amount that they charged an extra 3.5% on loans, but they only raised rates one. So then they ended up raking in all that extra cash that they were supposed to give you, and and regulators and all these people were supposed to stop that, and they didn't, because the banking cartel fucking owns everything, and that's what this talks about is exactly what I kind of went over, and it talks about what they did with the money and.
No, according to the FT, over $1 trillion went to quote pad out profit margins. In fact, according to the FT, these excess payments accounted for half of the total dollars banks brought in over the period. In other words, half of what banks make comes from scraping Fed rate hikes before they get to depositors. Why do they do this? Because they figure you are locked in, and because banks in the U.S. have become a cartel since 2008. So I mentioned in a previous video how bank starts went from around about 100 a year before 2008 to almost zero in the 16 years after. In other words, Wall Street used 2008 to outlaw the competition by artfully rewriting bank regulation. In case you were under the impression that regulations exist to protect you, no, they exist to fleece you.
So as you guys can see, he pretty much he talks like me. He sees everything. He sees what's really going on. He talks about the regulators. He talks about the banking cartel, their power, the way they've abused it, the rules they changed. I think me and him are going to have one of my best interviews for sure. I think he's insanely insightful in what's going on in the corruption. He's somebody that I think knows honestly more than I do in the corruption. One of the few people that sees all this going on that I'm like, dude, every time I talk to him and I'm blown away on some stuff. He tells me to look at, and some of these things, a lot of these things I pull up, some of these articles, and the way I'm looking into some of the things I look at. My point of view is definitely he's definitely swayed some things. So, like I said, I'm excited to do an interview with him, but um, I got so much more to go into. I'm just gonna make another video in the next couple of days here. I have so much I didn't get into. Like I have so much I didn't get into. It's not even funny, but I don't want to have like a 2.5 hour stream. Like that's kind of crazy. Plus, I think the Timberwolves just started here. Does anyone have any questions? I will. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna end it here, and then I'll just save these last 5 things because I definitely want to get to that. And like I said, if you're just catching the end of the stream, please, if you're catching the end of the stream, I don't ask much. Please read this. I'm going to post this one more time in the chat. Read this. I believe in 2019, the banking system collapsed. They needed to release COVID for the reason that they needed to print 6 trillion to save the entire financial system. This is straight from the Federal Reserve, the Board of the Governors of the Federal Reserve System. This is straight from their mouth on what happened. So please read that, write in the comments your thoughts, because like I said, I look forward to engaging in everybody on your thoughts when you read this, because it's pretty crazy. So thank you guys very much, and I will see you guys shortly. Have a good day.